Shalom Akim, Yahweh, Ba'ashim, Yahushai, Ba'ashim, Makakadash, Barakatam. Double honors and salutations to the elders and apostles of Great Mission Rule well, to the Akim Akwath, holding on to the faithfulness of Hamashiach Yahushai, holding on to his testimony in these last days and times. Shalom, Sperm Nasha, DC Camp. Short lesson for the hopeful elect as the EU pushes for Ukraine's membership, and it's just going to make things go one step further towards World War III. All right, just going to make things heat up. So these situations has to take place. All right, all the so-called geopolitics, has to be kicked into a higher gear. So this is just one of the moves they've been trying to make to happen. So all that pushing of arms is not really making Ukraine win the war. All right, they're not even slowing down Russia's progression to gain control of the countries because how long can Ukraine stand? All right, so all those fundings and donation of weapons is not really helping the situation because Russia is a superior power, and they haven't really unleashed, the might of their military upon Ukraine. So just taking it steady, one pace at a time. And so ever since that steel plant, the so-called stronghold of the Azov guys, man, has been, checkmate. What else does the EU have to do? They can complain as much as they want to. It's not going to solve anything. They could spread the lies as much as they want to. It's not going to help them gain any ground. And the idea is just to have Ukraine be a launching pad for them to put Russia under the thumbs of the super elite. They have to swallow up Russia bit by bit, and they understand that they have a time frame to do it. Okay, and they're not going to be successful. They're going to end up having to declare World War III and cause as many casualties as they can. All right, so the book of Ezekiel chapter 38 verse 4 mentions what the Lord would cause Russia to do. All right, so Ezekiel 38 verse 4 says this about Gog and Magog, that's Russia. All right, it says, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. So it's going to be an escalation, of their military capacity, and then it's just going to be rough for the West to contend that type of power. All right, and then verse 5 talks about Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet. So it's going to be rough for the West to have a stronghold, all right, in Ukraine because of the superior power of Russia. All All right. So it's only a matter of time that the clash will go into full steam. All right. So all these invitation into the EU is not going to make Ukraine any safer. It's not going to make Ukraine have a legitimacy for stability, because the Russians already understand that the elites in all their so-called game of corruption have to cause certain events to happen so they could gain control of Russia by weakening Russia. All right, so they have to use Ukraine as a testing ground, to absorb Russia's power. You know, bleed it dry slowly. Make it a slow bleed. You know, how you say it's in martial arts, a death by 1,000 cuts. So they have to slowly bleed Russia. Yeah, it's not only Ukraine that's seeking closer ties with the EU and NATO. You have Sweden, and you also have, I believe, Finland. Right? Yeah, so they have to get busy. You know, they have to get busy with all these agenda. All right, so it's going to be rough. It's going to be rough. That's one thing I know for a fact. That's one thing I know for a fact. Yep, that's what I know for a fact. That it's going to get ugly and uglier. Okay, so from the book of Jeremiah, chapter 51, verse 30. This is what it says. It says, the mighty men of Babylon have forborne to fight. Why? Because of the betrayal. They're going to be overwhelmed by the superior firepower of Russia. And you know how it is, man. When you go to fight a war on a different land, and your allies are not as capable as they need to be, and you're far away from home for supplies to get to you, your supply line is basically crippled, so how are the military members going to fight and continue to war when they know also that the war wasn't necessary to fight in the first place? So all that following orders is not going to help anyway, because they're basically walking into a barrel. They're going to be fishes in the barrel. That's what they're going to eventually find out. All right. And you also got the American military in Syria. All right. So you have Russia over there in Syria. You also have Iran over there in Syria. And this game that these soldiers have gotten stuck in is going to end up badly for them. All right. It's just the facts of matter. The Russians are going to lose. The EU is going to lose. Not America is going to lose, because they're going to end up destroying each other. All right, and that's how the Lord has set it up, and the Lord the Yahushai is going to show up with his angels in the heavens to clean up. All right, to clean up the trash, to tear down the power structure of these super elites. All right. So Jeremiah chapter 51 verse 30 says, the mighty men of Babylon have forborne to fight. They have remained in their holes. Their might had failed. They became as women. They have burned their dwelling places. Her bars are broken. Yeah, so that's the reality that America has to deal with in the future. Even now, man, these military men, they understand the whole shady BS they have to deal with. They understand why some members of the government are pushing hard to go for war, and they see the relationship between these big arms manufacturers, the military industrial complex. They see the trade when they follow the money. They see all that stuff. All right. And then verse 31 says, one post shall run to meet another, and one messenger to meet another, to show the king of Babylon that his city is taken at one end. So it's going to be crazy, man. When the Pentagon is just giving bad news and bad news and bad news to the executive in chief, it's going to be the end. It's going to be the end of an era. All right. So I would have loved to read. If I just get this real quick from the book of Luke. Luke chapter 14. I'm just going to read the points because counting the cost is part of war. All right. Yeah, so it's going to be a depletion of manpower and a depletion of resources, to win the battle. And the elite don't even care who wins or who loses. Their job is just to have as many deaths as they can have upon the face of the earth. That's their goal. That's the number one goal according to the Georgia Guidestones. All right. That's the number one goal, to have as many deaths as possible so they could have an easier time controlling the people. All right. So the book of Luke chapter 14, I'm going to get straight to the point. All right. So it's going to be in verse 31. Or what king going to make war against another king sitteth not down first and counted whether he be able with 10,000 to meet him that cometh against him with 20,000. So it's going to be a serious calculation that they need to sit down and go through, and it's just going to be chaotic. All these cyber warfare, all this electronic warfare and all that stuff, it has its reach. But once you don't have the power to convince the troops to go ahead and fight the battle, that's it. It's just going to be one domino effect. All right. Because when the allies can no longer supply the resources necessary, what's the troops going to do? They're just going to wave the white flag all day long. And what's the enemy gonna do? The enemy has an option that blast them, or just take them as POWs. All right. So the book of Obadiah. Let's see, chapter 1, verse 7 says this: all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. All right, the borders of war, the borders of mass destruction. All right, so they're gonna gather themselves together to have to fight these battles against Russia, Iran, Ethiopia, Libya, the Arab nations, man, are gonna be in league with Russia. So how's America gonna stand in those days once they go into that geographical region? All right. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee. All right. So the EU nations are going to lead America down the drain, especially America's so-called ally that we call the State of Israel. They're the ones pushing for this agenda to have this outcome. So they've already hijacked the United States, they've hijacked the UK, they've hijacked Germany, Sweden, France, the Netherlands. So what's next? You just have to plunge these nations into battle. All right. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee, and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him. So it's just the demise of the American empire, because the elites want to create a new agenda, the so-called New World Order. And it's not going to be possible, because a lot of the Awashas already made known that the time limit of their rulership is about to come to an end. All right. Shall I not in that day, said the Lord, even destroy the wise men out of Edom, and understanding out of the mount of Esau? So the council, the Lord is going to turn upside down, and the Lord is going to rubbish their ideas, their plans, all their strategies, their war plans, and all that stuff, their propaganda. The Lord is going to turn it into shreds. All right. And verse 9 says, and thy mighty men, O Teman, or that's Germany, shall be dismayed, to the end that every one of the mounts of Esau shall be cut off by slaughter. So the EU, NATO, they're going to have a tough a tough business to handle with Russia. All right. And the Lord Hamashiach shall be the one to tear down the mounts of Esau. And the mount of Esau is not just the EU alone, but also Russia. All right. Is the house of Edom. All right. The power structure of Esau has to be torn apart. So all these ideas of democracy and all these alliances, the Lord Hamashiach is returning the second time to demolish it, all right? Because it's time for righteousness to reign upon the face of the earth, okay? So the book of Mark chapter 3, verse 25. It reads this. It says, and if, I'll start from verse 23, Mark 3 and 23. And he called them unto him. All right, see, Yahushua talking to his disciples. And he spake unto them in parables. How can Satan cast out Satan? Okay. How is the mount of Esau going to be able to have power over the other within the same group? So the factions and all that stuff is going to be messed up. It's not just Russia alone. Russia has allies too. Okay. So it says this in verse 24. And if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. And if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand. Okay. And then verse 26 says, and if Satan rise up against himself and be divided, he cannot stand, but have an end. Okay. So the end is coming. The end is coming. All right. The end is coming for the power of Edom. All right. The end is coming. So that's one thing they have to be preparing for. All right. So it's going to be beautiful, man, that the Lord Hamashiach Yahushai Ba'Shem HaKadash would make these things happen in its own time, alright? So, final precept will be from the book of Revelation, chapter 17, alright? Revelation chapter 17, verses 13 and 14, alright? So it says this, alright, it's concerning the EU, alright? It says, these have one mind, and shall give their power and strength unto the beasts. Okay, so this is the EU having the deliberations to get down with their agenda to form NATO. And these, all right, these shall make war with the Lamb, all right? So they're going to have to fight against the Lord Hamashiach Yahushai when he shows up to tear down their power structure during World War III, all right? These shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them, for he is Lord of Lords, all right? So Yahushai, him being the Lord of Lords and King of Kings, has to take down the power structure of these 10 kings, all right, which is the EU, all right. And they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful. So the elect and the angels have been called to stick with the Lord Yahushai's program, all right? So that's what we're looking forward to, man, in this last days and time. So there's 10 horns. All right, this creature with the 7 heads and 10 horns. That time is about over, all right? And the Lord Yahushua is on his way to see to it, okay? So don't get phased, don't get worried, about Ukraine, because it's just going to make matters worse for them, by them trying to make Russia spend more of their resources to hold on to Ukraine. It's not going to really work because they're all going to fail eventually. So that was the point that I came. Abaratizer, we found this lesson helpful, and we just got to keep on growing the spirit as we see these events take place. Shalom.